Okay, so once again from the top, I'm going to talk a bit about lactose intolerance, or more precisely, the theory that at the beginning people were lactose intolerant and then they gained tolerance. First off, let's consider this. All babies, or rather most babies, when they grow up to 1.5 years, they will consume their mother's milk. So at that point, all babies are lactose tolerant. But apparently some cannot consume milk afterwards. So people say, oh, you develop lactose intolerance and this is the normal way. That's one of the main things that make me say, okay, it's impossible for people to have begun as lactose intolerant and then develop it. Now, I have a few theories and why people develop lactose intolerance. And I want to start with the first. First off, based on my personal experience, cows and other animals produce milk throughout the year, even if they do not have offspring. That being said, in the beginning, when they have offspring, in the beginning, they produce sort of milk that is, I will say, richer for their offspring, but because they have an extra thing added to it, naturally by the organism, of course, called cholesterol. Cholesterol, it's very bad for humans. I saw a lot of doctors promoting it as being good. No, it's not good. It's very bad, and I think it's one of the reasons why people develop lactose intolerance, because in rush to produce more milk, basically they forcefully impregnate cows and such, and then most of their milk is full of cholesterol, and yeah, it's rich, so they dilute it with water and then you have a lot of stuff. So basically that cholesterol is not good for us. It's good for the offspring of the mammal, but not for us. So you generally would avoid that milk. At least that's what someone that actually was raised in a place with a lot of farms can tell you, which is contrary to public medical opinion. Yeah. And the other problem would be overboiling milk. Up until the 1900s, you would have milk farms delivering milk to people, or milk shops where you had milk in glass bottles, and that milk will generally be there only for one day. Basically in the morning, where you get the milk, you sell it. What you don't sell, you just reuse, transform it into yogurt, into butter and stuff like that, and cheese, which would be a bit more expensive because a lot of content, basically when you transform it to this, it will lose a lot of water, so the quantity would be smaller. So yeah, and it was extremely healthy. Now what they do is boil the heck out of it until there's no more vitamin, there's no more anything good for you. In some cases even add preservatives, and then put it in those carts, and there's stuff you can see at the supermarket. Supermarkets should not sell stuff like that at all, and also wine and certain alcohol also would be. But anyway, I'm digressing. So all this boiling was in fear of certain diseases that may appear if you are unhygienic when you get the milk when you transport it. But the most important reason, which basically was the real reason, because I think this was actually a pretext, was the fact that certain shops wanted to be able to sell the milk for a longer period of time. So the only way to do this was to boil it. But if you boil it too much, it loses all properties. You only have to boil it enough to basically kill the harmful bacteria. But a lot of stuff of the milk should remain in it. Also the diluting and so on. Basically milk now is just water and some flavor, and that's about it. So it has no benefits. More than that, another problem that I think causes this, so that's one of the issues. The other issue, another issue is the fact that due to the entrance in the workforce, most women do not breastfeed the children, or if they do, they just do it for much smaller periods than they should, and their milk is anyway very lacking in nutrients, because all their energy, all their nutrients are consumed on their job. That's why women, in my opinion, if they want to have a family, they should start a family as early as possible, between 16 and 25. And once the kids are at least 7 years old, 2-3 kids, however you want, many, then you can start having a job. And you can say, oh, but it takes time because you have to go to college. No, you don't have to go to college. College is the biggest sham at all. Except for doctors and maybe lawyers, I don't think there are a lot of jobs that actually you have a benefit from going to college. Actually, it's better to decide on a job, and you can have training programs that last something between 1 and 2 years, and you can just have on job experience. So no, college is bad. It's extremely bad. You should avoid it at all costs if you care about your children. And yeah, but I digress. So that would be the other issue. And then you have the biggest issue, in my opinion, which is the milk substitute they give to children. They call it milk formula, which is extremely damaging for the children. If you look at the list of ingredients, there are a lot of bad ingredients for children. You have also the vaccines, which cause a lot of problems to the immune system, but that would be a talk for another time. But the main ingredient in all baby formula is soy. What this does is two things. First of all, for male children, it's the influx of estrogen makes them more feminine. They basically destroy their whole body. It doesn't develop properly. For girls, having more estrogen means, think of it like putting gasoline on fire. Yeah, it will basically burn more brightly, but it will consume us much faster. As a result, girls mature much sooner and they get old much sooner. And they don't die much sooner, but they basically get old much sooner. So yeah, it's bad for both races, and so don't give your child baby formula. You can use goat milk, or you can use you can basically do something based on cow's milk. It's a bit tricky, but you can dilute it and combine it with a lot of some things to make it good for the child if you're not able to breastfeed. or get someone to breastfeed for you. But no. And that's my opinion on this lactose intolerance. Also, there are a lot of foods that one moment I'll have to. So I was saying there are a lot of foods that, due to their content expression in additives, can cause lactose intolerance. I don't have a list because no tests are available. People never thought of trying this, but yeah. And the last reason I would say would be the cases where people say they have lactose intolerance, but they don't. What do I mean by that? There are a number of foods like pickled pickles, like tomatoes, that generally do not go well with milk. If you consume them at the same meal and you don't have a body that is already accustomed and resistant to that, getting diarrhea, vomiting can be something that could happen. There is a lot of medicine that don't go well in milk, but as I said, that doesn't mean you're lactose intolerant. That just means that you're just not accustomed and you mix some foods that do not work well together. And that's about it. And I hope you got something from this.